We are only 2 weeks away from the release of my new anthology titled An Autumn Embrace. It is with First Coast romance writers and features 5 delicious stories, all spicy forced proximity romance. So in celebration of the upcoming release on September 20th, I am thrilled to share with you a sneak peek from my story, Ghostly Intentions. And today you're gonna get a snippet from the hero's point of view. Colton Maine didn't need to see the disapproval on his ancestors' faces to know he was totally botching this date. He'd actually had a legitimate excuse to spend time with Nanette. His sisters were finally, albeit possibly permanently, distracted enough not to ruin this for him, and she'd said yes. Nanette Laurent had said yes to the prospect of a party and free drinks, but she was here, wasn't she, when no one else was? But, as usual, he was managing to ruin this moment all on his own. He'd invited a few other witches from their coven to make the party legit after she'd agreed. Dan, obviously, because he was always a laugh, Rachel to keep the peace, and Kenneth and Julian and more of the girls, so Nanette wouldn't feel awkward. But here they were, alone together, and suffering the very awkwardness he'd been trying to avoid and never could. He didn't have real friends, only a coven, and he only had that because of his family. But, as unlikely as it seemed for Nanette to have noticed him, she'd said yes. She was here, and by her own admission, she was happy to listen. Despite provoking his family's constant disappointment, he must be doing something right. Colton, I can only listen if you have something to say. Nanette's plump, downturned lips smirked sideways. Her upper lip was fuller than her bottom one, and as usual, while in close proximity to her, Colton found it nearly impossible to focus on anything else. Right, well, he forced his gaze up to her eyes, but staring into the fascinating depths of her icy irises was nearly worse for his focus than her lips. What I'm about to say, I need you to promise that you'll keep it secret. Nanette nodded, the tight coils of her red curls bouncing with the movement. Whatever you say here stays between you, me, and your family. His family? The ghosts, right? Petra and Venny lost their vocal cords last year, literally, according to their ENT, their throat doctor. I know what an ENT is, Nanette glowered. How does one lose their vocal cords? Literally. Even her frown was adorable, the raven wings of her eyebrows scrunched as she stared at the air over his shoulder, or more likely at the ghost over his shoulder. How a woman could naturally have such midnight black eyebrows and lashes and such fiery red hair was a mystery. He'd think one of the two fake, dyes or makeup, except that he'd known her since birth and everything about Nanette was genuine, baffling, and gorgeous. She snapped her fingers between them, and Colton startled upright. Focus! I've never been more focused. She raised one doubt-filled eyebrow. What exactly happened to your sisters? If I knew exactly what happened, they wouldn't still be missing their vocal cords, he huffed. Are the vocal cords missing as in not working, missing as in misplaced, missing as in physically not in their throats? Nanette blinked with a long sweep of black lashes. That might not necessarily be a bad thing. Nan, she lifted a hand. Okay, assuming you want the vocal cords found, I do. I'm supposed to. Then I suppose we need to determine exactly how they were lost. I hope you enjoyed the snippet of Ghostly Intentions. The tension between Nanette and Colton is quite delicious, if I do say so myself, and I hope you enjoy the full story when you buy the full anthology, An Autumn Embrace, on September 20th. Happy reading!